Good morning, and welcome to Unity of Port St. Lucie's Sunday service, and we say welcome to all our YouTube viewers as well. Please stand and join us in singing our opening song, One Light. So as you settle in, I ask you to join me in the prayer for inner peace. Take a deep breath in, hold it for a couple seconds, count of 3. And as you let go of worries, concerns, anything worldly, as we join our hearts and minds together in our prayer for inner peace. Creator of all that is, I open my heart and mind this morning to the presence of God that is within me and within everyone and everything, that one power and one presence. I let God's peace fill my being. In this presence, I am peaceful, poised, confident, and strong. I relax in God's loving care and release all my cares, knowing that God is upholding me and sustaining me in all that I do. God's presence calms me, quiets the storms around me, and leads me to a place of perfect peace. As I center myself in that peaceful presence this morning, I let go of every concern and relax in the safety of God's love and in the love of those around me. I find Unity of Port St. Lucie a sanctuary of love and peace, and I am open and receptive to receive all it has to soothe my mind and soul this day. And so it is. Amen. Would you please join me in our statement of faith? There is only one power and one presence in my life and in the universe, God the good, omniscience, omnipresence, and omnipotence. And our core values. Unity of Port St. Lucie encourages diversity and embraces harmonious and creative pursuits of truth and knowledge in a safe environment to achieve balance and wholeness in the world. Oh, first Sunday, happy birthday. Yay, see, John knew that. Okay, if you have a birthday in October, please stand. I know these two. Yeah. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. And just we got to wave to everybody, social distance. Good morning, everybody. Howdy, y'all. And then please stand and join us in our congregational song, This Little Light of Mine. Jenny Figueroa is going to read our daily word.
Good morning. Today's word is fearless. I am fearless as I live authentically. In the past, I may have hidden my inner light, afraid to be myself. I may have tried to please others by conforming to someone else's idea of who I should be. I may have shrunk from an aspiration, fearing that I would fail in pursuit of my goal. I may have doubted the divine perfection at the core of my spiritual self, identifying with my perceived flaws and feeling small and inadequate. Today I make a new choice. I choose to live fearlessly, drawing upon my faith to believe in myself, my imagination to envision my best life, and my understanding to know my divinity. Bold and brave, I am fearless as I live my life authentically, pursue my dreams, and express my divine nature. Be strong and bold, have no fear or dread, because it is the Lord your God who goes with you. He will not fail you or forsake you. Deuteronomy 31:6. So can we repeat the affirmation together? I am fearless as I live authentically.
As we prepare for the meditation and talk with Reverend Linda Machezik, let us sing Surely the Presence.
Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. As we begin to acknowledge that consciously and take that acknowledgement into our silence together, we close our eyes if they're not already closed. And we begin to relax deeply, deeply into our seats, allowing the chair to support our bodies. We let go. We let go of any stress. We let go of any distraction. We let go of thoughts of a moment ago, thoughts of moments to come, and pull our consciousness into the now moment, bringing ourselves into the presence of God, consciously wide awake and aware of this activity. We become still and allow ourselves to immerse in the idea that we are surely in the presence of God, each one of us individually and then collectively as a community, as a spiritual community, come together, actually or virtually, to acknowledge the truth of what we are, the truth that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And we are so grateful for it, so grateful to be alive. So grateful to be part of one another. So grateful for our understanding that God is everywhere around us, in us, above us, below us, always, always. Reminding ourselves in the silence that God is peace. God is love. God is right here, right now. Each of us allows that to sink deep into our DNA right here and right now. In the silence together, in the silence. And then very slowly and very gently, we begin to return our attention to the outer. Coming back into this space completely. Coming back into the presence of each other completely. And when we're ready, we begin to open up our eyes, refreshed and renewed, reminded of our truth with a capital T. We sing Alleluia. One more time now, eyes wide open. Hallelujah. 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 Good morning, again. So just give me a minute to take you in the light. Last time I looked at you, it was dark in here. How's everybody doing? Good? Good. You look good. Thank you. Thank you. I feel good. So the talk title today I had a little fun with. Pestilence and Plagues on the Way to the Promised Land. That just was fun. First of all, there's some alliteration there. For those of you who don't remember your English classes in high school, as a former English teacher, just let me remind you that when you use two words like that and they both begin with the same letter, it's very poetic. It's called alliteration. So pestilence and plagues.
And promised.
Oh, and promised. Oh, oh, oh.
It's on the pathway.
Okay. All right. You have to imagine that word in there. It's not there, but Daniel just added it. Thank you, Daniel. Yeah. So I know that you all remember this story because it is probably one of the most famous stories from the entire Bible. Probably one of the most famous stories from the Old Testament is the journey of the Israelites through the Promised Land. And if you don't remember it from the Bible, you don't remember it from your early Sunday school teachings, you might remember it from this movie. Who can forget the 10 Commandments, really, if you're of a certain age, right? Cecil B. DeMille was famous for making big productions, using hundreds and hundreds of cast, making big music in the background, usually written by some famous composer of the time. And the 10 Commandments is a perfect example of a big production for those days. And it was about this story of the Israelites moving from Egypt to the Promised Land. And then, of course, who can forget Dreamboat? Oh, no, sorry. His name is not Dreamboat. It was Charlton Heston. I was pretty young at the time, and I remember looking at this man going, oh, oh, yes. No wonder people followed Moses. If that's what Moses looked like, sign me up. Just saying. So who can forget this famous scene? You know, it was so good. It was so beautiful that people captured that image and recreated it for years and years and years. He's standing there parting the Red Sea, and the wind is blowing through his hair, and his robe is flapping a little bit, and oh well. It was just to expose beautiful legs. I remember every detail. So maybe by now some of you have an issue with the Bible, have relaxed a little bit, I hope. So it's the story of a group of people called the Israelites who lived in Egypt. They were enslaved there by the Egyptians. And they are desperate to escape. They are desperate to escape and go to a place called the Promised Land. The Promised Land was prophesied to them by Abraham. Abraham was told by God, according to the Bible, that the Israelites were going to have a land that would be theirs and only theirs. A land in which they would not be persecuted. It was called the Promised Land in the Bible stories. And so the Israelites were desperate to escape from Egypt, to escape enslavement, and move to this Promised Land. So Moses comes along. Remember Moses? He was the one that his mama put into the water in a little basket in order to protect him, and then he was discovered by the Pharaoh and raised as a prince. In fact, Disney made a movie called The Prince of Egypt, all about Moses, which is a pretty good movie. So Moses comes along to lead them out of the Promised Land. And Moses and God conspire to force the Egyptians to say, fine, go. In order to do that, according to the story, God casts down plagues and pestilence that goes on for a very long period of time, probably months. There were 10 of these situations, specifically in the story. The first one, those of you who saw the movie might remember or remember some of the story. The first one happened when all the water in Egypt was turned to blood. Nobody could drink anything, literally. There was no water anywhere that wasn't now blood. People kept digging wells deeper and deeper and deeper, and there was no avoiding it. No matter how deep they went, there was not water, there was blood. Pretty scary, actually. The second one was the plague of frogs. Now, when I think of frogs, I think of that cute little thing smushed on my window looking in, not smushed dead, but you know how they, no, I don't mean that. That wouldn't be cute. But you know how they cling Yeah, so they're always on my window at home. My cat loves it. Well, this isn't cute because what happened during the plague of frogs is they were everywhere. In your house, in your bed, on your body, everywhere there were frogs. The croaking was definitely deafening. It drove people to madness. The sound was so loud. And still, Pharaoh and the Egyptians said, nope, you can't go. We can handle these things. So comes the plague of bugs. Ew. Ew, frogs is one thing, but this one made me kind of, I don't know. I could feel it. Bugs everywhere, crawling on you, crawling on everything, everywhere. And still the Egyptians refused to let the Israelites go. Next came the plague of wild animals. Wild, scary, dangerous animals roaming the streets everywhere, killing everybody in their path. And then the pestilence, which killed all domestic animals. So people lost their goats, their sheep, they lost their butter, they lost their dairy, they lost their milk, they lost their meat. And still the Egyptians said, no, you can't leave. Then came the plague of boils. Can you imagine your entire body breaking out in boils? Yuck. You know? And it still didn't work. And then came the plague of locusts. How many of you have heard the sound of locusts when there are lots of them? Yeah, well, multiply that times thousands. There were locusts everywhere, and you can imagine that sound. And then came the plague of darkness. The sun became dark. All lights went out. There was no burning a lamp. It was not possible. Virtually, you couldn't even burn a lamp. The moment you tried, it just went out. So people sat in their homes at their tables, unable to move a square inch because it was dark. And then finally, probably the most heinous of all the plagues, and the one that finally got the Egyptians' attention, was the plague of the firstborn. You may remember that. God said to his chosen people, according to the story, the Israelites, here's what you want to do. You want to slaughter a lamb, and you want to place the blood of that slaughtered lamb on your front door, smear it on your front door, because I'm sending the angel of death through this city, and the angel of death will take the life of the eldest child in every family unless there's blood on the front door, in which case you're safe. It was called Passover. To this day, people of the Jewish faith celebrate Passover every year. The Pharaoh's own child was taken. You can imagine in an entire city how much agony, how much grief, how much sorrow there was during this particular plague. So Pharaoh said, fine, leave, get out of here. Take your God with you, go. And so they did. They left with Moses as their leader. And you know the story. What happens? Well, they wander in the wilderness for 40 years. Isn't that interesting? They wander around in the wilderness for 40 years until they finally come to the promised land. All right, friends, so is that story factual? Probably not. In fact, there are a lot of Bible scholars who say there's really no evidence that it ever happened at all. I'm not here to debate that. I'm here to say it doesn't matter, because the story is relevant to us today, right here and right now. It occurred to me that this is our story. I remember when I went to seminary, and I had issues with the Bible based on some things that I was taught as a child that never really resonated with me. I didn't know what to do with that. Did that make me a Christian or a bad Christian? What? I didn't know how to handle those thoughts, you know? There was no one around to tell me what to do about that at that time. And then when I came to unity, and I discovered that the very foundation of unity is Bible. However, it's Bible interpreted metaphysically, which I never heard before, by the way, ever. I was like, well, that's interesting. Tell me more. And I couldn't get enough information. I studied it for years and continued to. So we use in unity, we don't shy away from the Bible, although there are unity ministers who do, because there are unity congregations who have made it clear they never want to hear about the Bible, ever, ever, ever. But most unity churches include it in their messages, at least periodically. And I certainly do, have always done. And people ask me to come back, so I'm assuming it's okay here. I'm willing to hear about your Bible issues. I'm more than willing. I'd really like to hear about them, so don't be bashful. So in unity, we use metaphysics to look at the Bible. Metaphysics. That's hard to read, and I apologize for it, but that little girl's saying, what's metaphysics? I've heard of physics, but what's metaphysics? Well, you know, Plato began it all, really, with his writings, talking about metaphysics, and it's been around ever since. Metaphysics is the science of being. That is the definition. Metaphysics is the science of being. What does that mean? Well, metaphysics goes beyond the literal. You know, goes beyond the word on the page. And interprets things symbolically. Charles Fillmore, the founder of Unity, dedicated his entire life to teaching metaphysics, to writing about metaphysics. He created something about that thick called the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary. It's been on my desk at home all week as I used it to help me prepare for this lesson, to refresh my memory. And in that dictionary is every single solitary word that begins with a capital letter in the Bible, and then the metaphysical definition of that word. Metaphysical. Spent years creating it. Still used to this day. And then there's another resource we have in Unity called the Revealing Word. How many of you are familiar with the Revealing Word? I know those of you who are around when I was here before are, because I used to refer to it fairly often. It's a small little book, really. Doesn't take up much room. It's been around forever. And it's also a dictionary, but the words in it are common everyday words that we use in religion. Words like sin, words like hell, heaven, God, Jesus, the cross. Common religious words are defined in that smaller dictionary. So you can look up the word Jesus and you can discover Unity's interpretation of that word. Make sense? So we are metaphysicians in Unity, have always been. Not just Unity either, of course. Science of Mind, Christian Science, Centers for Spiritual Living, all metaphysicians. Charles said that his objective was to liberate the Bible. He said the Bible is our story. If you look at it metaphysically, it's about our spiritual journey. Every single solitary story in it is about our personal spiritual story. So let me just break this one down for you. The story I just summarized for you about the Israelites leaving Egypt. Metaphysically, Egypt metaphysically means this. Egypt is the place where we hold ourselves in bondage by thought. Egypt. is the place we hold ourselves in bondage by our thoughts. You know, you all have had thoughts that kept you in bondage. A thought that you were not good enough, not pretty enough, not thin enough, not smart enough, that you were lacking in something, that you were less than perfect. Those kind of thoughts hold us in bondage. That's what Egypt stands for. Of course they wanted to escape Egypt. When you look at it that way, who wouldn't? The Israelites is us. We are all at some point, all of us, bound to those thoughts that don't serve us. Because let's face it, those thoughts do not make us feel good, do they? Do they? Of course not. So we all want to escape those thoughts. We are the Israelites. Moses stands for the thing that draws us out away from those thoughts. It could be a song. It could be a talk. It could be a sunrise or a sunset. It could be a poem. It could be something very sweet that your friend just said to you. It could be just about anything. Whatever it is that draws you out and away from that thought that binds you to a place that doesn't allow you to feel good, whatever that is that draws you out is your Moses. That's what Moses is all about in that story. And Charlton Heston. And they go, and then they wander around the wilderness for 40 years. Well, friends, we all hang out in the wilderness every day of our lives. The wilderness is somewhere between those illumined thoughts where we know that God is right here with us, in us, that we are showing up as God in our best moments. The wilderness is the place between that consciousness, super consciousness, I explained last week, and subconscious, that old idea that we are not beautiful. Children created in the image and after the likeness of God. That doesn't mean we look like God. That means we have all the same attributes because God is in us. God is us. I remember the first time I heard that in ministerial school, I was a little taken back. It took me a while to wrap my head around that. When my professor said he likes to think about the fact that all of us human beings are in this great big sandbox, playing, acting out, and God's just watching, loving every single solitary moment of it. Because that's the only way God gets to experience playing in the sand. We are the only way God gets to experience loving. Just think about that. And why were they in the wilderness for 40 years? You see, 40 is significant too, metaphysically. 40 is the number of completion. 40 means as long as it takes. That's what it means. Numerologists will tell you that. That's what the number 40 is about. The number 40 shows up in the Old Testament all the time. It's probably next to 7, and, well, yes, 7, the single most popular number in the Bible, 40. So they go to the wilderness and they hang out for 40 years. So we move from ideas that don't serve us to ideas that illuminate us, that make us feel good. And sometimes we do it instantly, and sometimes we take a while. Guess what? In every case, we take as long as it takes. No judgment. No judgment. I know metaphysicians who have been studying this stuff for decades. And I told you this last week, that are struggling right now to get out of the wilderness. Because we're all human. And it takes as long as it takes for each one of us. I had a thought that was plaguing me, mind you, that started Monday morning, and it took me until Thursday morning to finally release it. It takes as long as it takes, friends, our wilderness experience. If you remember, the specifics of that 40 years are pretty interesting, although a little boring after a while. I mean, how many times are you going to build a golden or a bronze calf and dance naked and then say you're sorry and get over it? I mean, the whole 40 years, they're like on this emotional seesaw. You know, their consciousness rises and falls and rises and falls, and 40 years. The story's really long. That's just an exaggeration of what we all go through, rise and fall in consciousness. Charles Fillmore said many years ago when he began his work, the promised land, which is where they're all heading, by the way. What does that mean metaphysically? Well, Charles Fillmore said, the promised land is the realization of divine substance. It's when we, each of us, comes to realize that everything is divine substance, including the cheese. I'm teasing John Hayes, who doesn't like cheese. Everything. He says, when there wells up, this is Fillmore now, he said, when there wells up, you know, when something is in there and it's just wanting to explode, to come out, to be born from within you, it wells up, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. When something wells up, and it's a great desire to be free from the ignorance about who we really are, what we really are, then your journey to the promised land has begun. If you're feeling a tug toward living from a place of more and more illumined thoughts, you are on your own journey to the promised land. And we all are, of course. What does it look like? I don't know. It's not of this material world. I can't point to it and say, here's what the promised land looks like. It's entirely of the spiritual world. It's entirely of the superconscious level. Entirely. But you know what it feels like, right? How many people in here know what it feels like to be in the promised land, even if it's just momentarily? There you go. And only we can do that. We can't look to someone outside of ourselves to take us to the promised land, friends. We cannot. It's a complete waste of energy because no one else can do it for us. So the Bible is our story. I know the stories are old, but they're still relevant. This is a very relevant story. It feels like plagues and pestilence these days. It does. Well, I posted the title on my Facebook page, and I had several comments come back immediately from people who follow me saying, wow, what a great idea, because it's relevant today. We're having our own share of plagues and pestilence, aren't we? Certainly, we're experiencing a pestilence called COVID-19. And then I won't get into the plagues, but they're numerous, are they not? How long? I don't know. I wish I could stand here and say it'll all be over by the first of the year, it'll all be over by next. I have no clue, nor does anyone else, by the way. People are making very convincing arguments about their point of view, and that's all really very cool, but no one really knows. So here's what we can do is we can start to imagine what we want the world to look like when this settles down, when people are not becoming ill and dying from this virus, among other things. when the election is finally over and everybody's breathed into the name of our next president, whoever it is. That's what I mean by things settling down. So when they settle down a little bit, what do we want to see? I think it's taking all these events are coming up right now because there's a lot that needs to be healed. A lot that needs to be healed, obviously, or we would not be having such epic experiences. There's a whole lot coming up saying, look at this issue. Wake up. Look at this issue. Look at this issue. Ultimately, I believe it's taking us to a place where we love unconditionally. Now, I don't mean the kind of physical love or human love that we write songs about and watch movies about. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about spiritual love. Loving everybody right where they're at. Everybody, I said, right where they're at. Doesn't mean we have to hang out with them, invite them for dinner, friend them even. But we love them right where they're at. I attended a conference. Linda was there on Monday and Tuesday, the Unity Conference that I talked about. And the theme of that conference was a whole new world. And by the way, Jeff and Linda, did you get to see the video? You looked really good. Sounded good. Yeah. Dinah and John, your reading was, several people remarked to me about it personally. It was really well done. And yours, brilliant. So during the conference, these people I just acknowledged participated in a little video about what this whole new world might look like, their idea about what it might look like. So the whole conference was about that, and it caused me to think about, all right, we can talk about the fact that we're moving toward a whole new world, but let's start to define it. Let's start to describe it. Let's not just hang out so that it's kind of airy-fairy. Let's describe it. So let's create one, Unity of Port St. Lucie. You remember Martin Luther made 95 thesis statements to start the Protestant Reformation, and he pounded them to the front door of the Catholic Church. And it changed Christianity forevermore. I'm not suggesting that we're going to do that, although we might. Don't close that door. But I'm going to say, let's begin. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you some homework. I'm going to ask each of you to spend some time this week writing one statement, one sentence that describes what the new world looks like to you. Just one sentence. Make it simple, make it clear, make it direct. Be specific. What do you want to see in the new world? The world in which we live when these things settle down. Descriptors of the new world, I'm going to call it. And we're going to create a document. And we're going to share it and post it, affirm it, pray about it, see it happening. That's tangible. It's much more likely that it will happen when we converge on this vision and invite others to do the same thing. Let's write it down. And then let's create a collage and let's share it. Descriptors of the new world. Write it. Email it to me right there. Take a picture of that or jot it down as my email address. Or post it on Unity of Facebook's Facebook page in the comments section. Either way, whatever you're comfortable with, we'll get it. And we'll start to gather them. And in case you're wondering what it should look like, here's mine. We will treat others the way we want to be treated. Now, I didn't make that up. You all know that's the golden rule. But it's worth revisiting, friends. I just changed the language so it's a little more relevant to young people. Because the way I was taught it when I was a kid was do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Well, no one talks that way anymore, I don't think, except at my house. Write a statement. Young people sitting in the back, write a statement. We want to hear all your voices. Invite your friends to write one, for heaven's sakes. Just say, hey, we're doing this really cool thing in my community. We're going to create this collage of what we want the new world to look like. So write a statement for me so I can send it in and we can add it. And I will report back to you. So start them coming, okay? Are you willing? Homework? Yes? I'm sorry? Sherry's already written hers. Who else has already written theirs? Oh, look at that. There are about 8 of you who've already written one. So make sure you give it to me. And if you've already written it, you can hand it to me today. Friends, let's do this together, okay? Let's sign on and do something for this new world. Let's begin to describe it, and then let's make it happen. Namaste.
We decided to do a really old song that normally is done at people transitioning. And it's a good song, and it's about grace. And you've all heard it before.
I'm not sure how I talk after that. I think I'll just stand here and cry for a while. Okay, I can do this. Now is the time when we hold in our hands our offering tithes and say our affirmation together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. I give in love because I love to give. And as you know, because of the pestilence currently, the offering plates are in the back. Today, Marvia Reed is our prayer chaplain. She'll be over there behind the curtains if you'd like to share some affirmative prayer with her after the service. Prayer circle is Thursdays at 11. Lana is doing chair yoga Tuesdays at 10. The next spiritual discussion is Tuesday, because this is the first Sunday of the month. Yes, it is. Okay. Yes. Led by John Hayes here at 7 in the evening. And Reverend Linda starts. Do you want to talk about it or no? Okay. This starts this Wednesday. The universe has your back. And email Linda if you're not already in her group and you'd like to be. Email her that same email address, and she'll send you the link and the information and the questions and the whole thing. She's also doing a meditation on Monday mornings at 10. And same thing, if you email her, she'll give you the info to join that group. And upcoming for Paul's Kids Yard Sale. When is it? December 5th. And if to benefit, led by Monica Quinn. And if you have goods that you'd like to donate to that, see her. We will come pick them up and get them. And if you'd like to help out, let her know and all of that. And we have ongoing in the back. There's in the back corner, if you have non-perishable food items that you would like to donate for the kids. They're teenagers. They eat all the time. So anything you can do on that is appreciated. And Paul picks them up when he's here. So we thank you for that. Oh, you're up, Mr. Hayes.
September 30th marks the end of our third quarter, so I thought it might be appropriate to give you folks an update of where we are financially. The COVID-19 bug has just affected everybody. Attendance is down roughly about half. The offerings are down roughly about the same. So you'll see the income dropping each quarter. We did have a little respite in May as Crown Plaza only charged us half the rent for the month, so that was generous on their part. YouTube service, because we had the in-person attendance dropping, we went with the YouTube experience. As going forward, we're thinking of a different way, maybe go to Zoom, make it a live presentation rather than delayed. That might generate a little more support for us. We'll have to put Wi-Fi here in the church, but it might be a good expense if it has compensation on the other end. Because of the COVID bug, we've had transfers from savings of, to date, $3,000 I've drawn down from savings to put into the checking account to cover the bills. That's just how it's been going. Looking forward, you've heard Linda mention some new ideas to engage us more in the community, widen the base. That's all good. Unity Worldwide Ministries has this program called Loaves and Fishes. It's a grant. We meet all the criteria. We will be applying for that tomorrow morning via email. The board approved the package, and that's a $2,000 grant, so we're hopeful to get that. And we continue to march forward. Earlier today, Sherry shared me that she had a dream a couple of days ago, and in the dream, she hit the lottery for like mega bucks. Yeah, brand new church, everybody gets pay raise. It's, life is good. So I said, well, you got to start buying tickets. And but hey, reality begins in dreams. So we'll take that and move forward. So thank you for your attention.
I can speak? Thank you. Thank you. We'd like to remind the choir, as usual, we will be having rehearsal this Wednesday at 6 o'clock. And we'd like to inform everyone that there will be a Shepherd and Green Christmas program here at the church this year on December 21st. Oh, 19th. There, that's what I said. 19th. December 19th.
5:30.
It's good to have a good woman behind you to back you up when you fall down.
Fact check you.
Fact check. That's Sherry. It's going to be two showings because of obvious reasons. We'll have like a 5 o'clock show, and we'll have a 5:30 show. Maybe you guys should make this announcement. 5:30 and 7, yes. And we're going to have some really great special guests. We have a well-known pianist that's going to be playing with us. He's from Palm Beach, coming from Palm Beach to play. And we have a great upright bass player, well-known, who's been playing with many name acts. And of course, we're going to have this fantastic singer named Linda Green Shepherd. And she's putting up 2 fingers. I'm not sure what that means.
2 of her students.
Oh, 2 of her students. That's what that means. 2 of her students will be performing as well. And my fingers will be doing. What? Oh, she has to say. Why did you do that in the first place?
Some of you were here when we had my one student that had.
Speak up. The virtual people have to hear you. The virtual people have to hear you. So, yes.
Some of you were here when we had one of my former students who graduated from Lincoln Park Academy in 2003 with our daughter, that giving birth to her 3rd child, she had an aneurysm and a stroke. And she was given 1% to live. And I went to see her, Jeff and I went to see her like almost 4 years ago, because the baby, he's 4, almost 4 now, just started kindergarten this year. Anyway, and so I was working with her for the past 4 years with her speech and music therapy and doing some of her occupational therapy as well. And she sang here a couple of years ago, and we did a duet with my Near My God to Thee. And I asked her if she wanted to be part of the Christmas program because she's taken off her sling, even though her arm is still kind of limp because of, stroke patients have that. And she's taken off her leg brace on her own. So she's back with her therapy down in Palm Beach now, and I see her every Wednesday for the past 4 years. So she's going to be singing as well. And like I said, some of you know her story. So for her to be able to have her speech, her mother's German, and her dad is Puerto Rican. So she used to speak fluent German and fluent Spanish. But because of the aneurysm and stroke, we had to start from scratch. I mean, you can imagine having to learn. You can hear the word in your head, and you can almost formulate your lips, but you can't say it. And as speech therapist, it's great to have a cousin who's a licensed, educated degree speech therapist, but I have a degree in vocals, and it's a little different because we're more expressive with the mouth and more exaggerated. So because of more exaggeration, she's able to speak clearly, and now she's more comfortable when she's out in public and able to walk with a little bit of limp and feeling more comfortable engaging in conversation. So I asked her if she wanted to be part of the program because she can sing without me this time on her own. So I think that's important.
Just thanks to every, oh, sorry, gotta get back here. Thanks to everyone who comes and sets up and everything. We appreciate all your contributions. And now, if everyone would stand and sing with us our peace song.
Next week, I'll be